Fifth on the programme from Ellerslie. It is the celebrating Dawn Williams' 1,000th winner. She's being celebrated at both Ellerslie and Trentham, which is fantastic to see. Princess Kiruru is the favourite at 320, 125, 350 and 190. Stephen, money for Santa Monica. There's interest in Volks Lightning. How about that? It's pretty even at the top end.
It is, Emily. The best lead I can give is number 8, Princess Kiruru, with the blinkers on, 320 off a peak of $4.50. That accepts that also acknowledges a $500 bet this morning at a $3.50 quote around Princess Kiruru. In that second line of betting, Santa Monica, 360 out to 380. Volks Lightning has to carry the hefty 60 kilograms, rock solid in that third line of betting at $4.20. How about that? Well supported in the last hour or so, Emily. $6 into $5.50. Something Vain, Riki Tiki Tavi, $10 each of 2. Riki Tiki Tavi, unbeaten track and distance, which I mentioned at the top of the show. Probably the best spec at longer odds, and Mighty Me ranks off the 7-horse field at $15, quite friendly. So best backed in order, Princess Kiruru in front of Volks Lightning. How about that? And then the second favourite in Santa Monica.
What are you going to do here, Brendan? Obviously, there's, as we talked about, quite competitive at the top end. You've got a horse like Riki Tiki Tavi returning to Ellerslie, which may be an interesting contender.
Yeah, look, it's an intriguing race, isn't it, this one? And shame that we've lost the likes of Spring Heat out of the race as well. I was looking forward to seeing what she was going to bring to this race today. She came back fresh. But look, it's a race where we see Volks Lightning, who was good enough to win at the Group 3 level first up in the Swainey Stakes. Now, of course, she was down to run a couple of weeks ago in the Counties Bowl, but the tracks was just too wet for her on that occasion. Look, she's going to have to be very good today to win with 60 kilos, isn't she, Volks Lightning? We know that she's a Group 1 performer. She was Group 1 third in the Railway here, and that's the race they've got their eyes on again on New Year's Day. And that was her win when holding out Indecision, who has, of course, won since then as well. The next horse we want to show you is that race again from the Counties Bowl, and a chance to look at the horses who run into 2nd and 5th position. That being Santa Monica and Princess Kiruru. Now, Santa Monica is a horse who really is suited to doing this, and that is having that last shot. We saw the horse trying to be ridden a little bit closer to them and trying to utilise a barrier draw. She still didn't throw it away. She ran into 4th position. They were able to run along up front, and she was able to produce a good finish down the outside part of the track. If they tick along, she is the horse that could be closing best here in this race, because she certainly did that here in the Counties Bowl when bumping into Bostonian in front, who continued on with that winning record, and then Princess Kiruru closing hard up against the rail as well to finish into 5th position. I was with Santa Monica, running number 5 in the race. I was happy to mark her down as a bet as well for our strategy. 5 to beat the 1 in Volks Lightning, the 8 in Princess Kiruru as well, and then how about that, runner number 2. 5, 1, 8 and 2, Emily, in race number 5.
That takes us on to race number 6, which is the feature coming from Ellerslie, the Bone Crusher Stakes on the meeting code of 2. Total excess, 380, 160 on the tote fours and $1.30. I know you spoke earlier, Stephen, about total excess attracting a lot of attention. How has that been since earlier on this morning?
Just continues to flow on the unbeaten galloper. Look, we quite often respect the unbeaten gallopers, quite often in these young 2-3-year-old events, and total excess, no exception. $3.80 off a peak of 5.8. I didn't see this amount of money for total excess when I was pricing personally, Emily, during the week. I thought it was quite an even race, but money talks, and clearly the best back runner holds 4 times more money than our original and opening favourite in Marcetta at $4.40. Spirits will bear $8 solid in that third line of betting. A little bit of speaking for number 8, Can't Stop the Feeling. A lot of people believe they've found a bit of value around number 8, $12 off a peak of 21. It's just kept tumbling in the last 24, 48 hours. Andrew Calder does the riding. A little bit of speaking also for number 6, Cavallo Valace. Also the stablemate Lankawi has been quite friendless. Take what you want out of that money drive. But overall, the best back runner on the card today at HQ is number 4, Total Excess, in the feature today, the Bone Crusher at Group 2 level.
Thanks, Stephen. As we get across to Brendan, it's the feature on the card, Brendan, and normally these races are a little bit more straightforward, but gee, this one is tricky, isn't it?
It is. It's very wide open. You've got the dynamic of horses bouncing out of maiden races, bouncing out of sort of midweek races into a stakes race second up. You've got horses that have competed in some very good stakes races as well, or maybe the lower graded sort of 3-year-old races on an undercard Saturday where Total Excess sort of falls into that category. So, yeah, how do you sort of bundle that all up and come up with 4 selections? Let's have a look at some videos for you. Maceto. Gee, this horse was big first up and then produced it second up as well, where the horse was back saving ground up along the inside, found a bit of backwash, and then still found a way to win the race. Love the turn of foot this horse has got. Very explosive at the end of the race. To be honest with you, Hypnos looked like was going to win the race. He was able to get that trip in behind, got the split between them, and then was gathered in late by Maceto. Same race, he had Spiritual Bear finishing into 3rd position. Here's Total Excess. This was a win and a half, wasn't it? Because the horse was able to chase, and once balanced up and really given a couple with the Shillelagh from Nick Baccar, he responded and went away to win by 2.5 lengths in the end. As sort of Stephen pointed out, this is a big move. This is a serious push for a horse that has got some very deep form around some other runners in the race. They really are climbing out of trees to back this one from that 5.8 opening quote. This is the form line I like. This is a horse who is in a spot in the market that I'm happy to try and take some. This is 4th in a Hawke's Bay Guineas from Star Performance. I mean, as we know, the horse who wins this race comes out and wins the 2,000 Guineas. You have Melt, who started as one of the favourites, who ran second, who started in the 1,000 Guineas as one of the favourite runners. King Louis as well. There's sort of Osmond that he's going past closer to the rail, who then came out and won the Sarton. That is a good field. That is a very good field. He's had a bit of a freshen up since then, has Star Performance. He's at a place in the market where I think he is very backable off that form. He's shown enough. I know that he's well regarded by the team as well. He's got himself a middle barrier draw. I was just happy to back him each way in the race. If he's presented at around that 850 and 3s, 850, 250, somewhere around that mark, I think he's backable in the race. 2 on top, in front of the 3 in Maceto. If things can happen in front for him, he could show that devastating turn of foot, and then obviously big respect around the 4 in the race as well, and that being Total Excess. Exciting race, the Bone Crusher Stakes at Group 3 level.
It sure is. Following on from the Bone Crusher Stakes, we have another pretty handy race on the card, and it is the Dunstan Feeds 1500 metre championship qualifier. Over 1500 metres, Swiss Watch at 461.85. You've got Beaumarchais 660.230, Mon Recur 660.230. Stephen, this market is all over the place. What can you tell us as we build into the start time?
Plenty of market support around the 9 Swiss Watch, which is normally the case, Emily, when this horse goes around. Got the bickies for the punters at Hawke's Bay early preparation. I don't think the off-track at Counties suited this individual when it was narrowly beaten. But at HQ on a dead 5, possibly a dead 4 later on this afternoon, they've come in their droves for Swiss Watch. $4.60 top line of betting off a top flack of $7. Mon Recur $6 off a peak of 7. Beaumarchais on the rocks, the mitigator, $9 each of 3. The best lead I can give you there is Beaumarchais, well supported. In fact, it's the second best back runner, even though he sits in that 3rd line of betting. 1,200 metres, far too short when it resumed at Gate Pass. Steps up to the 1,500. Michael Coleman in a purple patch of form, as is the stable Tiakau. So Beaumarchais well supported at a $9 price. Outside the horses I've already mentioned, it's been quite friendless, even though it looks to be a deep field on paper. But best back runner clearly number 9, Swiss Watch, with a bit of specking around the 2, Beaumarchais.
Speaking of Beaumarchais, Brendan, he's a horse who I was really keen on. I love that 3rd, and I reckon that he can really improve off the back of that.
Gee, if he can, Emily, it's a race that he can win, isn't it, Beaumarchais? We know how he can really peel off a closing sectional, and he showed that 1,200 metres into 3rd position out of Tauranga. I'm going to take you back to a horse who won nearly 12 months ago at this venue. It was on the Jockeys World Cup night, which we will have here on Thursday coming up, and it's Mon Recur. Now, this was a win in the Twilight Cup over 1,500 metres when Ben Allen did the riding on this occasion. Loved the way that she was presented, and she was able to win and do the job very nicely. Now, her recent form, she was beaten in behind Gundown in the open handicap out of Pukekohe Park. She comes back to rating 82 level, does this horse. She hasn't been too far in all of her preparation runs this campaign. She has Darren Dennis aboard, who gets 3 kilos off and gets down to a featherweight of 52 kilograms. I like Monricure in the race. I think she is a horse that can be a big chance in the race, and happy to be backing at $6 with that featherweight. 13 on top in front of the other, each way specky in the race for me, and Smart Dragon. Got no favours last time to the races, did Smart Dragon. Could go around at a $10 or $12 quote. In the race, Emily, race number 7, I'll be having something each way on the 7 and 13.
Thanks, Brendan. Let's get you along to the 8th, and it'll be the final race on that card from the Ellerslie Twilight Races, the last at 7:10 p.m. 2,200 metre rating 72, where you've got Starry Beale as the favourite, and it was a dashing performance last time, Stephen, so of course you'd be expecting to see it right in the market.
Yeah, flashing light last start at our pony, first time over ground, Starry Beale. But we expected a lot of money around this individual. I don't think it's as clear cut as what I'm seeing punters wise or money wise around Starry Beale. $3 off a peak of 4. Love Light, I thought it just peaked on its run last start, well supported at 380, and Gold Spice was rattling home at gate par, first time over ground. Excuse me, this preparation at $4.60. 5 fly full sibling to Starry Beale, and that 4th line of betting at $7. The rest of the runners led by Lady Shabelle have been friendless, so a decent go on the 6 Starry Beale, but pretty happy to keep it at the $3 trade.
Brendan, as we get along to you, that performance by Starry Beale last time at our pony was so impressive, and I'd be thinking that this horse could probably back it up once again. Yeah,
look, it's a run that we've sort of been waiting from this horse as well. And this preparation, he's turned a corner, hasn't he, Starry Beale? Because I know the team had always held that private reputation around him that this horse can gallop. And we saw him win his maiden at Te Rapa when winning back there on, Labor Day Monday. Bumped into a very strong field here behind Rhinestone Cowboy, which has just held up. Gee, that form is brilliant from Melbourne Cup Day. And then he produced this. Bang! Starry Beale wins at Awapuni. It was so good. So good to take in with what this horse did here with Chris Johnson aboard. Michael McNabb, who's come back this week, of course, back riding in New Zealand after his stint in Queensland, and he's come back in good form as well. He won the winner of the last at Matamata. He was able to win aboard Church Road as well on Wednesday at Pukekohe Park. So he's starting to get back into form as Michael McNabb, and I love the way that horse has picked them up and dropped them late. Here's Gold Spice. Now, Gold Spice does have a placing here at stakes level in the Sunline Vazda's Gold Spice. Now, this horse very late here in the race gets close. It was worked on here by Trudy Thornton, but doesn't she respond? You look how she gets close to the winner here, which was Sunburst, who looked to have the race in safekeeping halfway down, but then she really starts to wind up into her work. She's a filly that did compete in the Oaks, and that was her run over the distance of 2,100 metres. So 2,200 metres will look very suitable here this afternoon. Mark the 6 on top, Emily Starry Beale, but big respect around the 2 and Gold Spice as well with how that horse went last start at Tauranga.
Brendan, you've got $100 to spend. What's going to be your betting strategy across the program at Ellerslie today?
All right, Emily, look, I'm going to go for Starry Beale. I do like the horse today. I'm going to mark it as my best bet in the last. So we'll centre a fair bit of my stake around that runner, and Star Performance as my value bet. So we'll go to Meteoric Lass in race number 4. 10 to win on that runner. Do like Santa Monica in race 5. 20 to win on that horse. Star Performance in race number 6. 10 each way in the Bone Crusher. We'll go each way on race number 7 around Smart Dragon and Monricure. I was running out of funds, so I could only cut that back down to 5 each way. Would like to put another 0 in front of that anyway. And Starry Beale in the last 30 to win on that runner. That's our strategy for today. And our first race, Emily, is set down to start at 2:48.